There we go.
There we go. Okay,
Right.
so good morning, everybody. It's Fondi here, and I'm really excited because we're live streaming on Instagram and Facebook. And also we have a Zoom session. So this is being, excuse me, recorded. Excuse me. If you want the replay, you can always register because this is going to be bi-weekly. And so you'll be sent out these recordings and we watch at your leisure. So again, I'm Fondi Tam. I'm streaming from Montreal, Canada. And I'm here with my very good friend and colleague, Mabina Jaffer. So Mabina and I, we met at a
Almost 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Almost 5 years ago.
event, and we became fast friends. So I have to say, Mabina has become like my best friend, and I'm very lucky because I have a coach and a friend.
And likewise, the same.
So
same for me. Same for me. Likewise.
Yeah, Mabina's actually seen me through a couple of the hardest times of my life. Honestly, like I lost my dad and my sister in 2018, and I went, and I home my mom, and it was some very stressful times. And even as a coach myself, you always need someone on the outside, like a doctor needs a doctor sometimes, right? So I'm very blessed to have Mabina in my life, and she has supported me through, many hard times. And she has shown a lot of resilience in her own experiences. So this is like a perfect match for us to be working together because, well, Mabina, you have your life experiences, I have mine, and we have a lot to share. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We do.
So
we've had some similar experiences, similar things happen. So, Fondi has been incredible friend, accountability partner, coach. She's seen me through some tough times as well. I lost my mom back in 2019, and we both have experienced some similarities, and it's been really amazing. Fondi's seen me in some very dark times, and we've been there for each other. She's one of my closest friends as well, and we're excited to do this because we've talked about it for so long, and it's finally coming to fruition. And this is such an amazing time of the year because I've always loved the fall, and fall's around the corner, right? Another week and we're hitting it. But it's just a great time. It's a fresh start. The air is crisp. And, we're really excited to have you guys join us on a bi-weekly basis and really be with us as we share our experiences, as we share our knowledge, our learnings, and take that and start embodying it for yourself. And, that's how we become better and better every day. So welcome to those who are here live. And as Fondi said, if you haven't joined and you want the replay, please do register so that we can send you the replay for this.
Okay. So,
all right, Fondi, I'm going to let you go.
I was having a very hard time actually choosing a topic to begin our series, but I chose suffering. So, suffering sounds terrible, right? Oh, suffering. But really, if you're not in your most happy time in your life right now, there's something that you're suffering from. And during my grieving process in the last 5 years, I would have to say that during the first few years, the suffering was intense. The grieving was intense. And I noticed people around me also losing family members, not only that, but the family members in my own home, my household, we're all grieving differently. So grief and, suffering or whatever it is that we label our pain, why do we all treat it differently? And why do some of us come out of it faster than others? Right? And there are different reasons, but I'll share with you mine. Okay, so as an example, there's some of us who hold on to suffering because there's a benefit to the suffering. Okay, it sounds weird. I know some people might be thinking, hey, lady, I don't know what you're talking about because I want to get rid of this, whatever, anguish, whatever it is you're going through. And how can you say that I'm holding on to it? Right?
We do hold on to it for sure.
Yeah.
And I know because I've experienced the same thing.
Okay, so this is what happened to me during my grieving process. I'm just going to use me as one example, and I'll tell you something, a story about a lady who was holding on to her suffering for another kind of reason. So I bought a new house in 2020. So that was 2 years after the death of my dad and my sister. And my grieving was still very intense. I was having a lot of anxiety and panic. And so sorry, I just have to see something here. There's someone here that's.
Yeah, I'm gonna send them a message. You keep going.
Person, please. Can you please remove that person? I'm removing that person. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
So excuse me. So when I bought the new house, it's been like 2 years after, and we hadn't had a really any great celebrations since the passing of my dad and my sister. And the last real big celebration we had was 2019 Christmas, because my dad died in March and my sister died in August the same year. And so when I sat in my house, we came in the summer, and in the fall time, I started imagining one night, really like I was in this like awake dream. My other sisters, their families coming in, my brothers, they're all coming in to celebrate Christmas in my new house. And there was this intense feeling of joy that I hadn't felt in a very, very long time. And it was palpable, like I felt real. And I snapped out of it in an instant. And then the split second that I snapped out of it, I immediately burst into tears. And the reason why I was crying was because of the intense guilt I felt from just allowing myself to even feel 2 seconds of joy. And I didn't realize that I was withholding myself right back from feeling happiness again in my life because I felt guilty to be alive. I felt guilty that I could allow myself to feel happy when my father and my sister had passed. So I felt that I couldn't allow myself to be happy. So I was following this life of grief and misery and sadness and pain because I felt that was the right thing to do. I didn't know I was playing this story, but I was playing the story of I'm a good daughter, I'm a good sister, and I can't, in order to not forget, to prove that I don't forget, I have to be in grief. I have to mourn, continue mourning. And it was the biggest, no, that's a no.
No, it's okay. I know who this is. Don't worry.
Okay, so it was the biggest aha moment, I guess you could say, or awareness of what I was doing to myself. Like, so a lot of people do go through pain and suffering, don't know exactly what the underlying belief or beliefs are, and they move through, all this trauma and pain without being able to fix it until something like that happens. So when I realized what I was feeling, then I was able to slowly address that belief system.
Yeah.
So maybe
it's all about awareness, right? This is the one big thing that I have learned in the last few years as I've studied myself and the material. And I have to thank PGI and Bob for, first of all, you and I meeting, right? So I'm really grateful for that. But also I've really learned more about me, and my awareness about me has increased significantly. And so I can relate to, your, wanting to stay in that place and wanting to be the good daughter and not, celebrating and because of your belief system, right? And your paradigm and what you've what you've been brought up with. But at the same time, part of it is you're in that comfort zone, right? And you tend to want to stay in that comfort zone. We find it challenging to step away from that comfort zone. And it's what we know, right? And a lot of the times we tend to use our imagination, which is one of our intellectual faculties, against us, right? Without that awareness. So I can totally relate, because I've had instances where that's happened to me as well. And I remember after my mom passed, the same month, so she passed in February 2019, that same month, at the end of the month, I had already had a photo shoot scheduled for the upcoming Mother's Day with a really good friend of mine. And it was a photo shoot for my son and I to go, and we had gone. But there were moments in that shoot where I was having fun and enjoying myself, but then I started to feel guilty. How can I have fun? My mom, it hasn't even been a month since my mom passed away. So I can completely relate to that. And again, it's the understanding of ourselves, it's the awareness of ourselves that really helps us bridge that gap and to help us, release things. But it's feedback that we're getting.
Yeah. So when you're not feeling good, you're not in your default state. Your default state is actually in a state of love and joy.
Yeah.
And anytime you're not feeling good, it's telling you you're off track.
Yeah.
So in like metaphysics speak, you're in misaligned.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you're not in harmony, right?
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that didn't, it permeates your life. And to say that when you're in grief and you're not happy and you're suffering, you can't have a happy life. Your life reflects what's going on inside of you. So just to say, yes, I was not in a good place, and it infiltrated every part of my life, right? My physical being, I didn't feel well.
Yeah.
And this is what they call dis-ease. Like I had different ailments. I had anxiety. So anxiety, everyone has ever experienced anxiety, that it's not just a head thing. It's like not a nerve, just a nervous thing. I used to think that when I didn't have it, I didn't understand it. And then I did get it. And it's a full being experience, the whole.
Yep.
And so I was feeling this ease in my body.
Yeah.
And, from shaking to sweating to not sleeping well, not eating, headaches, this feeling of an elastic band like stretched tight across your head. It's the weirdest feeling. But yeah, so any of you who have experienced, anxiety or different levels of anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And when anxiety gets out of hand, you get panic. So I had panic attacks. I started getting panic attacks driving, which made it like a very traumatic experience, because you feel like your body's turning into jello, literally. If anyone's been on a high rise, a very high building, and you are afraid of heights and you feel that your legs gonna buckle, that's what it felt like to have a panic attack while I was driving. I didn't even know if I was capable of holding the brakes down.
Yeah.
So that freaked me out, right?
Yeah, and anxiety can be very overwhelming, especially when you first start experiencing and you're not aware of what's happening. And the nervous system is very dysregulated. Again, it's feedback that your body is giving you, right? That you're misaligned. And, you want to start to take that feedback and embrace it and start to make some changes within yourself. Because at the end of the day, we can only control ourselves, right? And it's the whole awareness of who we are, of where we're going, and you want to close that gap from where you are to where you're going.
Okay, so, the challenge is I want people to think about, where in their life they're carrying some past events or feelings of past events, the results of those past events with them now, and how it's affecting their lives. Okay, so people, if people are wondering why they're not living well, then the challenge is go backwards and try to figure out where it is you're holding on to heaviness. I call heaviness or suffering or whatever it is. So I'm going to tell you my other story. This is a story about a lady who had some kind of illness that was very difficult to diagnose. And she repeatedly, of course, went to the doctor and she wanted to find out, hey, what is wrong with me? I'm not well, and please help me. And one day the doctor finally figures out what her problem is. And he was so excited. He goes, oh my God, I know what the problem is. And I figured out your ailment and I can help you now. And he goes, I can help you and you can get better and then you can go back to work. And she goes, what? He goes, you go back to work, you can be well, you can go back to work. She goes, what? She goes, I don't want to go back to work. So the lady didn't accept the treatment because the treatment meant that she would have to go back to work, and she didn't want to go back to work. So instead of just being honest and just saying, I don't want, but there might be some social benefits, right? I guess if you're ill, the government may be taking care of you because you get a letter from the doctor and said, they can apply to the government for some aid. Maybe that made it easier. If you're not sick, then you can't, there's no benefit, right? You have to go to work. Yep. So she rejected the treatment and she continued to be ill so that she could not have to go back to work. And so some of us, I guess, the suffering is perpetuated because there's some benefit from the suffering that is in a way better and safer than the rainbow and sunshine place that you think you want to go to, right? There's that saying that goes, if someone comes to you for healing, ask if they're ready, right, to heal away from the place that made them sick. If they're ready to drop the stuff that's holding them back. And not everyone knows what's holding them back, or they don't want to leave this comfortable, even though this, when I say comfortable, it means known, right? What you know is what is safe to you.
Yeah. Even
if it doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
Right. So like the sunshines and rainbows somewhere else, for most people, it's like the success. There are perceived consequences to being in that life. So they'd rather stay where they are.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know at the end of the day, right? But it's also about when you are making a change to yourself, right? You know what you're going to give up, but you don't know what you're going to gain. And so part of it is fear of the unknown, right? Because you don't know what you're going to gain, but you very well know what you're going to give up. And again, you're comfortable in that situation, even though you're suffering, you're still comfortable because you know. And so a lot of the times that fear of the unknown is what holds a lot of people back.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Like, for instance, even for me becoming a coach, this is not something that I ever thought I'd be. If you asked me my 12-year-old self and say, when you're middle age, what do you think you're going to be doing with your life?
Yeah, I never thought I'd be a coach either, but yes, I agree with you.
So on this journey, I'll give you an example. This is my first live, okay? And I had to really get out of my comfort zone to be on a live or even be on camera or to make recordings of videos of myself, right? I was challenged to people who are, watching or, how comfortable you are to be showcased live and you speak for people and to people.
Yeah.
It's like public speaking pretty much, and public speaking is one of the scariest things for a lot of people. There's been surveys and apparently people would rather be killed than to speak in large groups of people.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Right. So for me, that's part of the fear. Why don't I like videos? Why doesn't anyone like to stand in front of a big group of people? It's a very common thing. It's just being judged, right? Yeah. You can be perfect, whatever. And at the end of the day, do I keep myself small? Do I keep myself hidden and not do what I need to do and show up because I'm afraid that maybe a couple of people might judge me, not like me or whatever? It's more important that I come out and talk and teach and help than worry about whomever, naysayers, people who think I'm nuts or whatever. Those are the things where I used to be afraid of. Now it's like, okay, well, I'm not meant for everyone. Not everyone's meant for me.
Yep.
And that's okay. So just a challenge for people out there and people who are uncomfortable with the unknown. There's something actually very fun about it. I never used to think of it that way.
Yes.
But even coming on with you, Mabina, I mean, we were getting excited. Okay.
Yes.
I was getting
Yes.
excited. It's like, I don't know who's showing up. I don't know who's going to watch. When you're live stream, anybody can watch you pretty much.
Yeah.
And so it was exciting. It's fun. It's fun. It's just like, I'm treating it like, when I have parties and we're going to have a game and I go and
Exactly. We're both on
know what to
having
do.
a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're a type of person like me who likes variety, meaning like restaurants, I like to try new restaurants because I don't know exactly, what the experience is going to be, what the service is going to be like, what the atmosphere is going to be like. It's going to be good ambiance, the food, of course, if the food is going to be good. For me, that's a fun discovery. So if you could change your mindset as I have and move into the unknown with that sense of curiosity and have some fun instead, then hopefully you can be more willing to let go of what's currently not great. Just because it's comfortable doesn't mean you should be there.
Yep. Yep. And I remember, you're sharing your story about being live. I remember the first time I did it, which was probably around the start of the pandemic. And, I moved a lot of my stuff to Zoom, as most people did. And I remember I was a little nervous, even though I was comfortable, public speaking. Most of my life, I've been comfortable doing that. I remember in grade 1, I did that in front of the school. But there was that little bit of, fear within me, that little bit of, apprehension and nervousness around, oh my God, like, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I, embarrass myself? What if, I say something that's not true? Like, so many things went through my mind. But then I stopped myself and I just, I became aware of that inner dialogue, right? And our inner dialogue is always happening, right? It's constant. But it's that awareness that helped me recognize it. And then I just started to say positive things to myself. No, I can do this, I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to make a difference, just like what you did, right? You're going to share and, you're going to help somebody out there. You're going to, share your experiences, your knowledge. And so I went through that as well. And I remember, one of the persons that I've studied a lot is Louise Hay. And I know you have too, Fondi. And I remember Louise Hay talks about this when she first started doing, and she was doing meetings, in her home, in her living room, I believe, when she first started it. And this was in the time when AIDS was very, new, and there was a lot of unknown around AIDS. And the first time she spoke, she after had a little bit of an inner dialogue with herself and started to have those, that negative conversation with herself, but she stopped it right there. And she said, no, I did great. This was the first time I did great, and I'm just going to get better and better. And that's exactly what I did when I first started. And I'm very grateful because it's that knowledge and understanding that it's all about taking action. It's all about taking action and just doing it anyway. The fear is going to be there, but it's about doing it anyway. And that's how you grow, right? And that's what we want for ourselves and for everybody, right? We want to just keep growing and getting better. And so the suffering is there. We all suffer with different experiences. But again, it's about holding on. It's about what are we focusing our attention on? What do we want to start to think about, right? What do we want to let go of? Things that are not serving us, we want to let go of.
You know, when you don't let go of things and you continually suffer from things, you do create disease. Like I was talking about anxiety and whatnot, and the whole body's feeling. I know people get told, you stay positive. If you stay positive, you have a positive life, and blah, 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 blah. So when you're going through hard things, it's very hard. It's challenging to go into that positive place.
Yes, it is.
It almost makes you angry to be told, just think positive. Just think positive. And some people do try. They go, oh yes, okay, I'm positive, I'm happy, I'm whatever. And in the moment, yes, you want to change your vibe in the moment. Okay. But even if you do help yourself calm down, or just to ease yourself a bit, the undercurrent is still there.
Yes. And that undercurrent is very strong, as you and I both know.
Yeah. So when people go, well, I'm always thinking positive, I'm thinking positive, but why are these things still happening? Why is everything still not there? And it's because you are not really embodying the positivity. Like you're not really feeling good. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's a fake, superficial thing. So you say, I'm positive, I'm feeling good. Yeah. But inside you're seething, right? Inside
at the conscious level. It's only at the conscious level. It's not embedded into the conscious mind.
So, so like, for example, there was a lady who's an athlete. She's like a middle-aged lady who's like super good with her diet, exercises, she's lean, she runs and everything. And so one day she gets diagnosed with cancer and dies. And people are like wondering why, like she took such good care of herself. She always ate well and everything, blah, blah, blah. She exercised, but you don't know what was going on in her head all day long. Right. And this is chronic. And this is the stuff that is the slow burn, the stuff that you don't know about. So I'll give you a story about the frog. If any of you, I've never heard of this story, let me tell you. So if you put a frog in a pot of water and you turn up the heat like ever so slightly, right? The cold-blooded animals, right? So anyway, you turn up the heat ever so slightly. The frog doesn't know, he doesn't sense the increase in heat, and will cook to death because he never notices that the heat is rising because it's so incremental, so small. But if you turn the heat up really quickly and it goes up to a boil real fast, he'll jump. He'll get out of danger. Okay. So this is what happens with us as people when we have this undercurrent, this stuffed emotion, these stuffed feelings, when they're just lying underneath, but you're faking it in life, and but your undercurrent is the resentment or the guilt, the anger, all of those non-high, all low vibe, non-high vibe feelings, they're wrecking you from the inside.
Yep.
And so, people don't believe that, hey, my thinking can affect me in a physical way. They just think they just got a disease. It's part of aging. Well, if that was a law, then every old person should be ill. And I have to tell you, not every old person is sick. My mom is in a home and there are people in there over 100 who are not on any medication. They're just older. And so why are some people sick and why are some people not sick? It's not a law that if you're sick, that you're old, that you need to be, suffering some physical ailment. It's not true. Why do some seniors have Alzheimer's and dementia and some don't? Don't tell me this is genetic. Well, we'll talk about epigenetics another day. Just because you have a gene for something doesn't necessarily predispose you to guarantee you to suffer from something. So anyway, you know, the whole thing of suffering and ongoing suffering can lead to other things, not just permeate your life and give you bad relationships, poor performance in work, you know, your physical well-being, you know, how healthy are you physically? Are you taking care of yourself? Having these low feelings, these suppressed feelings affect you, your confidence. So being aware is a very big thing. Being aware of why you're suffering is a very big thing. And being willing to let go is another factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's the key there, willing, right? Like we're all able to do things, all of us, but are we willing to do it? Are we willing to, like you said, let go? Are we willing to embrace, you know, the suffering so that we are able to release it, right? A lot of the times, and in my personal experience, I've been in a place where I have felt a lot of those low vibes that we're talking about. So grief, you know, guilt, envy, jealousy, fear, right? And I've resisted them because they don't feel good, right? They don't feel good. So you resist it. And then what you're doing when you're resisting it, you're putting it deeper into your subconscious mind. And it becomes a part of you. And that's the whole mind-body connection. And then it starts to become darker. And eventually it's going to start to manifest. And as you said, it can manifest as anxiety. It can manifest as depression. It'll eventually dis-ease you, right? You won't be at ease anymore. And so it's important to start to be aware if you are suffering. But it's not a bad thing. It's just feedback you're getting. And it's just feedback that it's time to do something about it. It's time to change something to get you in a direction that's good for you, that's gonna grow you, that's gonna make you better.
You know, the interesting thing about the holding on, and I don't want anyone to feel ashamed of, you know, holding on, or that somehow, you know, they're doing something bad and they're flawed. It's not on purpose in that you want to harm yourself. Okay.
No, 100%.
The thing is with people, all people, is your mind is designed to protect you.
Yep.
So, you know, for instance, I'm going to ask you to think of a time, maybe you went through something, someone said something to you and you were in shock and you didn't respond. And then you replayed the scene and you're going to say, I'm going to react like this next time. Or you make up some other scene or something and you think, oh, you know, this is how I'm going to deal with it or whatever. And this is just you trying to protect yourself. Okay. So when you do hold on to things, for some, it's just a way to protect yourself so that something similar arises, you know how to handle it differently.
Yep. Our body is always seeking to feel safe, always.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, there have been lots of times in my life where, as I've reflected, you know, and doing inner work, I recognized that I did what I did because I was just, you know, really, really wanting to feel safe. And it's that awareness about me, right? So I'll give you an example. When I was younger, I was an athlete. I am an athlete right now, but when I was younger, I was you know, taking part in a lot of competitive games, and I was a top athlete in Canada. So for those who don't know me, I'm, you know, I utilize a wheelchair, and I've utilized a wheelchair since I was 18 months old. And I'll tell you that story on another session. But when I was 10 years old, I got involved in sports, para sports, right? So people with disabilities. And I was very, very like good at racing. And when I was 17 years old, I injured my wrist. I had fallen off my wheelchair and I had hurt my wrist. And I remember that year, it was a very critical year because the following year was the Olympics. And so I kept scratching out of races and I used my hand as my reason. And because I kept doing that, I didn't go to the Olympics. And I reflect on it, and I think, okay, I did that because there was a lot of fear that was, stopping me from participating, because there was the fear of going to the Olympics, right? Such a high profile event. And it was the fear of failure, right? That was holding me back. And my body used my hand as my way to keep myself safe so that I didn't have to experience that. So it's quite amazing when you really understand how the mind-body connection is, and how we trick ourselves into things, right? And again, it's, you don't know what you don't know, but once you start to really study yourself and you open up to what your experiences are telling you, because every experience is a growth opportunity. Every experience is an opportunity to learn about yourself. And I know in the past, I didn't look at experiences like that, right? I was holding on to them. I was ruminating. I was holding on to the suffering. I wasn't letting go, right? But it's once you've recognized that you can take those experiences, learn from them, let them go, release them, and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, you made me think of, a victimization, right, of our circumstances. And when things happen to us, like I'm telling you, there was like 2 deaths in my family in 1 year. Then someone was diagnosed with terminal, like not terminal, but a chronic illness that could have turned into death. And like my mom wasn't in great health to take care of my mom. My mom was like in the ER a lot. She was getting, she was having sepsis a lot. And anyway, it just felt like life was targeting my family, and when bad things happen, it makes you feel like you're a victim of things.
Yeah.
And you clamp down, and what happened to me happened to me. I started getting panic attacks and all this stuff. And but it's just the way life is. Like, life is much bigger and more complicated than we know as simple humans. I mean, my mom has her own path in life, but we intersect because I'm her daughter, and my brother and my sisters, everyone, we all have our own paths, but we intersect because we are in this time and space together for a reason. And so I couldn't take all that stuff and think that it was all coming on us or me or whatever. Things happen to people all the time. And so I think that was part of my fear, was like, what's happening? And when bad things happen, please don't take in that idea that something is coming after you. I felt like
I hear you. And victim mode, I've been in victim mode a lot. And it's very easy to stay in victim mode because you're putting blame on others, right? But at the end of the day, when we fall into the victim mode trap and we stay there, we lose control, right? We're not in control of ourselves anymore. But at the end of the day, only we can control ourselves. And so it's important to be aware if you're falling into that victim mode, and to get yourself out of there, and not stay in that place for a long period of time, right? But again, that ties back to the suffering, right? It's all about the comfort zone, and it's easier to blame others than to take responsibility for yourself, right? It's always, but then when you're in victim mode, you're going to lose.
Well, this is the part that like I like talking about, is the empowerment, because I like to do detox. So I'm a mind detox coach. I'd like to specialize in that, and self-improvement, some other things. But for me, it's like the detox. Like, how do you get all that toxic thinking out of your head, right? The toxic beliefs. And the reason I do that is because of empowerment. So how do you empower yourself? if you think that you're just a pincushion and things are coming at you, right? And I've had a lot of stuff happen to me in my life, so I won't get into it in one session. It might be
No, we have lots of
we have
stuff.
a lot of sessions coming up, but just to say, I mean, I've had enough things happen to me that I think, I think that there are others that have gone down into addiction and drugs, or just like bad paths in life where they can't come out of. And it's mindset. It's how you think. It's your support system, not, claiming your power. Claiming your power means, like you said, Mabina, is taking responsibility. Some people think, well, I didn't do that to myself. Like, someone did that to me. It's not my fault. How am I taking responsibility for something I didn't do? Like, well, no, your well-being, how you react to your circumstances is your responsibility. No matter what, if you get into a car accident and your car's wrecked, you have to take your car and get it fixed. Okay. I mean, yeah, you're going to have somebody pay for some of it or whatever, but you still have to take care of your car.
Yeah, you have to do your part.
Yeah. And if you get whiplash, like I got rear-ended, some guy was on his phone. He didn't realize the light was red. Okay. This was like in Toronto, and it's down Yonge Street towards Center, if anybody knows that area in Thornhill. Anyway, so this man was looking at his phone, and he hit me. I was obviously the last car in the line of cars, hit me at full speed, okay, which is like roughly 60. And yeah, so I got whiplash and whatnot. So what happens? Am I going to lie there? And am I going to just lie in bed all day and just blame and just say, well, it was me, and then he hit me, and I'm going to just shrivel up? No, I had to bring myself to physiotherapy.
Yeah.
And even my head wasn't working properly because I had concussion as well. And it was my responsibility to take care of me. Whatever happens, you're responsible. You get a cut, you scratch yourself somewhere or whatever, you're responsible for taking care of you. And not just a physical aspect, it is also in your psychological, emotional, mental aspect. You need to be in charge of it, take responsibility for it. And it's not hard. You just need some patience with yourself and care for yourself, love yourself. It sounds odd for some people because we're so used to doing that for other people, loving and nurturing others, and we forget to honor, respect, and nurture ourselves, give ourselves some time, give ourselves some space. And that's part of my healing, was to carve out some time, carve out some space for myself, because I'm telling you, during that whole last 5 years, I've been taking care of other people. People have been in need, and part of healing is to give yourself some time. Like, you have a physical injury, it's easier for people to see. And like if you are suffering from the flu, let's say, they'll, people go, oh, stay home, take care of yourself. Can I make you some food or whatever? Some people take care of you. But when it's mental, emotional, these ones, they're hard to see, or we hide them. And so often we do it because, one, we don't want to make other people uncomfortable, or two, we don't want to seem weak, or both, or all of it. So the mental stuff, the emotional stuff, you really have to give yourself time to heal those things. And so if anything from today, to dial back and figure out what it is that's causing your life not to be full of joy, full of great health, really good, loving relationships. Because when you're not doing well psychologically, emotionally, it will seep out of you. It will seep out, and it will infect every part of your life.
Yep. Yep. And one thing I want to add there around the, self-care, we as women, we have that nurturing part of us, and we tend to take care of everyone around us, but we don't take care of ourselves. And that's been another big lesson that I've learned, As a daughter, as a, ex-wife, now as a mother, single mother, it's important for me to take care of myself, right? And we're going to talk about that on another session. But, it's very, very important to understand, the role of self-care and loving yourself, as you said, plays in the suffering. So we want to, make sure that you start to do some reflecting after this session, just to look at yourself, and are you in a place where you're suffering right now? And as you said, Fondi, are you experiencing joy? Because if you're not, then what are you experiencing? Start to understand what you're experiencing.
Yeah, I love that. The default for all of us is love and joy, and right, and peace. That's our default. And we have experiences in our lives that come in and challenge that.
Yeah.
Why do some people seem to overcome their challenges so much easier than others? Right. The future sessions we'll discuss, but there are habits, conditioning. I mean, you're just talking about women, how we are nurturing without conditioning, right? In our like cultural conditioning, societal, religious, whatever it is, we have conditioning as women to be a certain way. And so, like I was telling you, how I discovered my grieving belief and the undercurrent that I didn't even realize was running. That story was running. Okay, like I'm supposed to be grieving a certain way because XYZ. I can't, to be a good daughter, to be a good sister, and to not forget. You know, have to remain in grief and mourning. So who are you? Like, what if you're feeling bad about the things that are happening in your life? Then what would make it better? Right? What's the conditioning that is not working for you?
Yep. And it's all about awareness, about you.
It is the awareness. And like with the grieving thing, I only became aware that I was running that story of, being a good daughter, being a good sister, and feeling guilty of not living fully and joyfully, right? When I had that little vision of Christmas, and then bawling my eyes out because I felt so guilty that I even gave myself 2 seconds of that.
Yeah. How can I be happy? Yep.
And it's all conditioning, right? That was a condition, it was a belief.
Yep.
And our conditioning gives us all of our belief system.
Absolutely.
That's part of the awareness, is what are you believing that's causing you to suffer. And children in third world countries who play outside with their friends with their whatever, one soccer ball or whatever it is, they don't know they're poor, and they don't know they're not living in our definition of like a wealthy society. They just have fun with their friends and they eat whatever their parents give. They don't know that there's some other great, they're supposed to be living in mansions and have like designer anything and this and that. For them, that's just what they know.
Yeah.
Right. And then someone tells them, hey, no, you're supposed to live in these like giant mansions, giant houses, 4 bedrooms. You're supposed to have a bathroom, en suites in each room, and everyone's supposed to have a car and blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, they were perfectly happy with the way they were. So we're all being told from very young what we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to be, and what the ideal of anything and everything is. So I just want to challenge you, everyone, when we're thinking about our suffering, what the things that are causing us not to be happy, what's the conflict?
The inner conflict that's very strong.
What's the conflict?
The misalignment, the disharmony. 100%.
Where is the conflict? So we're coming up to our hour right now.
Yeah, we should open it up for some questions. We've got some people live on Zoom with us. So if anybody who's live with us has any questions, you can either unmute yourself if you're wanting to, or you could send us a message on the chat, private message if you want. It's up to you.
Don't be shy. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
So if we don't have any questions, well, I should give 2 seconds, just in case you're typing really fast. I'll give you 2 more seconds. If we don't have anything, then or you want to open up the chat to anybody who wants to ask personally? Do you want to do that? Anyone wants to put their hand up and say something?
Maybe share a story if you don't have a question.
Okay. All right. So in that case, I am going to suggest a really quick meditation. Okay. And if you're not familiar with meditation, don't worry about it. It's simple. I'm going to do a body scan actually. So the reason I'm doing the body scan is that it's an easy meditation to do. It's a neutral meditation. So it puts your mind in a very neutral state. And when I guide you through this meditation, I ask you to be neutral. So the body scan is I'm gonna move through like from the bottom, of your feet all the way up to the top of your head. And we're going to be aware of different parts of your body. And when I guide you through that, I ask you not to be judgmental. So for instance, like don't give any feeling or ideas to anything. So let's say you have a part of your body that has been hurting you for a while, and we hit that spot, like we go, your back, and you say, oh gosh, yeah, that back pain. I've been feeling this back pain for like weeks now. I don't know what the heck's wrong with it, blah, blah, blah. So now you're giving it a judgment and you're having bad feelings about it. So the idea of the body scan is to just go through the awareness and the observation of each part of your body without giving any dialogue or thought or any. It's just, okay, I'm going to say, well, what do you feel? And in your head, you're going to say, well, I feel nothing, or I feel itchy, or I feel hot, or whatever. That's it.
Yeah.
When
You're just noticing. You're just noticing the sensation that you're experiencing in that moment. And that's it. That's all you're doing. And then you're going to move on to the next body part, and Fondy's going to guide you. And you're just going to, hear what she's saying and just notice. That's all you're going to do.
Yeah, it's just an observation. So if I said, what color is this rose? You go red. That's it. You don't have to say it's pretty, but I just asked you what color it is, and then you just say red. That's it. No feelings. Does it make you feel happy, make you feel sad? Nothing. It's just an observation. Okay, so if you can, everyone, just get yourself comfortable. Make sure you're in a position that is secure. You're not going to wobble, because I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. So I don't want you to lose balance or anything like that. So make sure you're in a nice, secure position. And take a couple of deep breaths, cleansing breaths, just settle you. Hold and then breathe out. Okay, now that you're settled in your position, have your feet flat on the floor, your arms to your side. Sit back as straight as you can, as comfortably as you can. Now I want you to move your attention to the bottom of your feet. Feel the pressure of the contact between your feet and the floor. Or maybe you have slippers on. Just observe the feeling that's on your feet. Now move into your ankles. Up to your calves. You may feel tightness. If you feel tightness, consciously release. Now move up to your knees. Is there any pain in your knee? Now I want you to move your attention up to your thighs. Are your thighs tense? Are they held tightly close together, or are they relaxed? Anytime you move through an area of your body that feels tense, you can actively release. Now move into your hip area, to your buttocks and your pelvic area. Notice if you have any tension. Relax if you do. Now move into your abdominal area. Does it feel tight? Now, if your mind goes somewhere else, maybe you've got something to do or something, or whatever it may be, you could bring your thoughts right back. No judgment. It's natural for your mind to wander. But just bring it back. No judgment at all. We're in the belly section right now. So move your mind to the belly. Now move it to your back. Feel the whole of your back. Notice if it's itchy. Notice if it is tense. If it is tense, actively release. Now move back to the front into your chest. What do you notice in your chest area? You notice your heartbeat? Do you notice any tension? Now go to your shoulders. Are you holding them tight towards your ears? Or are they dropped and relaxed? If they are tight, you may choose to relax. You do a little bit of a rotation to relax them. Now put your attention to your neck and throat area. What do you feel? Do you feel a lump in your throat? Do you feel tension in your neck? Now move up to your ears. Into your jaw. What do you notice in your jaw? You're clenching. Observe your lips. Are they relaxed? Are they pursed? Is your mouth open? Now move into your cheeks. And your eyes. Are your eyelids tight? Do you feel pressure in your eyes? Relax. Now move up to your forehead. And now to the top of your head. Do you feel tingling? Do you feel pressure, itching, or maybe nothing? Okay, now we are at the end of the meditation, and you may open your eyes whenever you're ready. You may feel a little bit discombobulated, but that's okay. So the purpose of the meditation actually, okay, is multi-level, and one is to practice directing your thinking, is to discipline your mind, okay? When you start meditating, it's very, very hard because it's foreign. It's foreign that you lead your thinking. It's foreign. We're very, very used to just letting our thoughts come into our head and our brains run with it. So in meditation like this, a very simple meditation is very neutral. I have many meditations, some of them make you cry, but this one is very neutral. This one is just about observing your body so that you can direct your thinking and direct your attention intentionally, not letting your thoughts go rampant. When people start meditating, including myself, it was very, very difficult because I just found my thinking going off to many different directions and what I had to do that day, whatever it was going off somewhere else. And this is one of the issues of suffering. It is the planting of an idea in your mind, and your mind goes wild with it.
Yes.
And then you've got anger, you've got frustration, you've got then anxiety and panic, whatever. It's like you let it escalate. So this is a very good thing you can do on your own and easily just sit in a quiet space, give yourself 5 to 10 minutes. You could drag it on longer if you like. You just sit and just observe each body part very, very slowly and give yourself more time. I did it quickly today because we're already past 11. So I just wanted to run that with you so that you can get a taste if you've never done this before. But body scans are amazing because it's neutral. It doesn't take you to any place where you can get emotional. I will take you there in future sessions. But today is an introduction, and it is a great meditation to do in the middle of the day just to dump things and to reset.
So I want to just add there a couple of things. So I've done this body scan myself. I do it at bedtime a lot because I find it's just a great way to, decompress and, dump my thinking, right? Because I find at bedtime thoughts come in my mind a lot. But I also, for those who are from my community here, I do it a lot, and I do a quicker one. I don't do it as long, but I do it before I do my prayers. And I find it's a great way to really get myself calm and connected to my source, my God, and I find that when I do that, my prayers are amazing, right? And it's all about the mind-body connection, right? And that's what I find this meditation does. And I want to just ask a quick question to those on Zoom with us, and maybe you could just put some comments in the chat. How did you feel after this meditation that Fondi guided us through? Did you feel a difference? Did you find you were calmer? Did you find your mind wandered? And it's okay if it did, right? Just the minute you're aware that your mind wandered, you just bring your attention back to the body part that she was talking about. So any feedback from people? Relaxed, great, perfect. And you'll get for those who've registered, you'll get the replay, and you can come back on and do this meditation if you want it guided through Fondi, and you do it a few times, and then you could start just doing it yourself, right? But it's just a very powerful way to, get yourself focused and just be able to get in a relaxed state.
What I could do, I do have a recorded version I'll put it in my link tree, which is the QR code there. You can go in and I'll give you I'll put in the YouTube link and you can just play the body scan on your own, like a full body scan. Someone said,
Yeah, mine was wandering, but feel calmer. That's amazing. And that's great awareness because you're recognizing that your mind was wandering, and it's okay because our mind is going to have thoughts, right? Thoughts, we have like tons of, like thousands of thoughts a day, but then feeling calmer, that's the key.
I'm so happy about that.
Yes, so that's
the
great.
goal. It's to settle the mind. And when the mind is settled, the body follows.
Yeah.
The body always listens to the mind. Well, we're going to go into that, the mind body connection more, but we are past the hour.
We're done.
So grateful that you came on and participated. You did great. Thank you so much. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Any closing comments, Mabina?
I just want to thank everybody who came on live. I want to thank those who are going to watch the replays, whether it's through Instagram, whether it's through Facebook, whether it's through our recording. And please share feedback with us. You know, tell us more about what you learned about yourself today as we spoke. Tell us more about what you want us to talk about, right? And tell us how you felt after you did this meditation. Post on Facebook, post on Instagram, and let us know, because it's your feedback that's very valuable for us so that we can make this better for you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Yes, have a great day. Thank you, Fondi. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.